Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share with you more the information I've received from the 25th dimension during my last QHHT Hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session. I want to refer to Lorrayne. I'm speaking to my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session. And when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th dimension. Before I start reading, I'd like to thank you as always for subscribing, liking, and commenting. I really appreciate it. All right, let's jump in. Lorrayne, you said that the fact that there are only 12,000 light workers, that we have this ability to split ourselves into 12, therefore getting to the 144,000 number known to the New Age spirituality community, is new information we have only recently allowed to be known inside the Matrix. Why would this piece of information be held back from the Matrix before now? Me. So this piece of information goes hand in hand with the fact that, again, we are always in the 25th dimension, that we are all one. And again, we can already hear somebody saying, we always knew that we are all one. We always knew we're source. We've spoken about this. We say a lot of things that we don't actually believe. Because again, we speak and we compartmentalize. So while it is true, obviously, what people say, yes, we are one, they are correct. The very next phrase after that, they'll say something like, it will be something completely of the Matrix, which again is perfectly fine. That's a game we want to play. That's a game we will continue wanting to play. So there is no judgment. At the same time, when you start saying, no, we're not 144,000, we are 12,000, because as essences, we can do whatever we want. And one such example is that, look, I can split into 12 and I am still me. Again, we want to say we're all one at New Age spirituality level, but we don't actually want to know that. We are completely and fully immersed in the separation. Even when we talk about souls, we said, yes, our soul is eternal, but I have my own soul and you have your own soul. We don't have individual souls. That's why we don't even talk about souls. There is no soul, really. It's completely different. And that's why this is new information. This information, of course, goes hand in hand with a lot of the other things we have told you about. And it would have thrown off the concept, even what we just explained. Within the Matrix, there are planets that believe in the 144,000. There are planets that believe in the 75,000. There are planets that believe, have different concepts around this. What if we had said, no, there's only 12,000? They would have not even understood it. They would have just thought, that's another number. Some other planet would have said, oh, it's 12,000, but they wouldn't have thought of it in the same way that they think of the 144,000 or whatever. It's like everybody's getting different numbers. Who knows how many there actually are? Who believes 144,000, who believes 12,000 or whatever. No, there's really only 12,000. And they were laughing here. So you see, you will take any piece of information and turn it again and incorporate it into your way of thinking about things, which again is perfectly fine because your way of thinking about things is in alignment with the experience you want to have. So perfectly acceptable. But the thing is, this information was very much tied again to how reality actually works outside of the game at essence level. And therefore, we chose not to distribute this information until now because it could have made some people question. But again, you could not get an answer because a lot of the information we have been giving you basically was not allowed to be downloaded. And we already said that when you are seeking, you must be able to find answers. So that's why we did not allow that information to be distributed until very recently. We decided we didn't want it. We didn't need it. We're concerned it would break the game. We really just wanted to play the way we've always played it, which is separation, separation, separation. Even though we do like to talk about the fact that we're all one, we're already sad we don't actually believe it. Even though you see, it comes from our nature. We do know we're all one, but then we say it without believing it when we are focused on the game. That's all, because it's not wrong, obviously. We are all one. We're laughing. So this is why. This is part of the information that was not helpful, would have led some people to start questioning things where we weren't really allowing ourselves to know about the 25th, for example. Lorrayne. Thank you. Okay. You said that essences reincarnated here to experience the darkness. What about other 3D planets? 60% darkness is very dark too. Do they also have big populations by multiverse standards? And was their darkness exacerbated by these new essences supporting it? And new obviously is in quotes, there are no new SSs, but I was referring, when I wrote this question down, I was referring to these SSs that would have not gone to those planets before, but now they were interested in experiencing darkness. Me, yes and yes, but only to a certain extent. So yes, if a planet, just like there have been SSs that have been interested, these situations that we have had on these 3D planets, and ours in particular, of course, are so unusual. Not because there is no darkness in the rest of the multiverse. We've said many times that there is polarity everywhere. That's the entire point of having this game. And so there's that. You can experience darkness anywhere. But on these 3D planets, darkness has been, especially because of the negative polarity, darkness has been much more pointed, much more focused, much more obvious, even at game level. And therefore, yes, there have been SSs that have wanted to experience that and that have incarnated on these other planets as well, because even though they might have not reached 70 to 80%, hovering around 60% is pretty negative. I mean, you wouldn't feel like you're in paradise, you know, just because if you go to one of these other places, you will still have to deal with a lot of things that are not what we would consider good or pleasant. They also have trouble, have not had a lot of enjoyment. We already said once you break out of that balanced polarity range, the game becomes kind of monodimensional and you're not really having a lot of fun. And so basically, yes, these populations, their populations have also swelled. Not to the extent ours has, for the simple reason that it wasn't just about the darkness here, but it was also about the takedown. We've had a lot of very unusual stuff happen here between the resets and the takedown. And all of this, not only, but a takedown that's never been done before. We have had basically the bulk of essences that were interested in the takedown or in the darkness. So really in both incarnate here. But yes, even their populations obviously have attracted more people. And so of course it would have been essences that, we're not saying every one of them, but mostly would have been essences that would have been interested in experiencing the dark, which means you come in either to do dark things or be even on the team of the dark or to support it or at least stand out of the way of it. You're not really, you know, fixing anything, superhero style kind of thing. And again, we're generalizing because, of course, there are essences that actually wanted to fight the dark, for example, that would have incarnated. Same as here. But yes, much less than us. So that's why we said yes and yes to those two questions. At the same time, they were still able to recalibrate because one, we said these planets, the civilizations, the planets are not necessarily older than ours, but the civilizations have been there longer than we have been here. So there are two things to that. One is that they become more used to the vibration and therefore they're again better able to recalibrate because all SSS know how to recalibrate. We know as well, but you have to get used to how things work, right? How you want the game to play out. They've been there a lot longer. So of course they're better, they're more accustomed to that. They're better equipped for that. They just have figured out how they want their game to play out. Secondly, they didn't have the huge jolts that we had, that we experienced with the resets, which not only changed reality between one day and the next. So it's almost like to give you an example of how huge these are, is that we're doing this today. We're in our reality. We think this is unchangeable. And tomorrow we wake up and we're ancient Egyptians, okay? This is the difference we're talking about. So not only you have that drastic change in your reality and now you're trying to adjust to, now from a 3D perspective, you wouldn't remember it. But I mean, your higher self is now playing in a different game. So you're adjusting to that. They have not had that. We've had that because of the resets here. But not only these resets, it's not just that you're in ancient Egypt now, but imagine that you are, or let's do the opposite. Let's say that yesterday you were in ancient Egypt and today you're in this dark reality where they're force injecting the global population with toxic products. There are basically police forces that will lock you up in a building, leaving you to die because they're saying that you have this invisible germ, and that's what we're talking about. This negativity, these resets that were used by the dark, created such a jump in negative polarity that it was extremely jolting to us. And right there, we would have not been able to recalibrate already. We can barely, and we said this before, we can barely deal with a 1 to 2% vibrational change. We can barely handle it. And all of a sudden, overnight, we would have gone maybe 3, 4, or 5 percentage points in the direction of negative polarity. This was just too much. The other planets have not had to deal with this, and therefore they were able to change things in a more gradual way, what we would call to recalibrate much more gradually. Lorrayne, Thank you. Okay, how is our becoming Neo transition going? And how close are we to the recall? And obviously they're referring to this recall. Are we still expecting it will happen around April? Clea had a dream where she felt like we're close to being done. We're excited about something. And again, as a reminder, the April is not a timeline. It's just when the 25th is reflecting back to us the fact that we believe we're going to be satisfied that we are completed with the work we wanted to do here in the silver time. So obviously that can change depending on how we feel. But we're using the April timeline, again, timeline, just because we told that we decided basically that we thought this amount of time since last July would be sufficient to reach the point where we're like, okay, we made the stuff happen, all right? And again, the recall will be our signpost, basically our watershed moment where we'll basically realize from a conscious perspective that yes, we do change reality here. Me. So the becoming Neo transition is going very well. We are very pleased. We are very fascinated. We've mentioned this before because it is going very well. This is what Clea was feeling in the dream. She was feeling this elation, the sense of satisfaction, the satisfaction with the process. And so there is a chance, because things are coming along very quickly, there is a chance you might have it happen. It already said you could have it happen today if you wanted to. You might have it happen maybe in March, it really depends, because we said it's not about the recall. It's about how you feel about the process that you're going through. Clea is very satisfied about the process. She even sees it at 3D level, the evolution that has taken place, that is taking place, not just with her, but with many others. So you might be satisfied sooner than April. It may happen sooner, but right now we're saying it seems that you're still aiming for that time period. And I'm sorry, was there another question after this? No, she was excited and thought it might be related to the April time frame. Me. Yeah, no, the April time frame is very much still in place, but it might be a little bit earlier. And again, it's just because we are satisfied with how quickly things are changing. We're actually seeing things changing a lot faster. Let's put it that way. And so you might be able to, you might decide that you're done before April. Not done. We don't know what you're going to decide after the recall. We're not saying done, where you're going to make the takedown happen, because we know that this is one concern that Clea has, which is, yeah, okay, we got the recall and then we decide on something else. And right now we want Clea to know. We want you to know that no, right now you don't believe that you're going to stay here past that. And again, and we're tracking here, you changed your mind before, so we'll see. Lorrayne, and I apologize if there's noise in the background. Again, as I mentioned in my previous video, there is work going on in the unit next to mine, and therefore it's a little loud every once in a while. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity to record these videos for you because I really want to share this information as soon as possible. All right, Lorrayne, thank you. Okay, how many essences are left here now, and what is the breakdown in terms of light, dark, and middle? We will get to a point where there's only 3.5 million essences going to New Earth left here. Clea makes the comment that we are all beyond exhausted. Are the 12,000 satisfied yet? And I have to say I was a little bit anxious, and obviously you can feel like probably a little bit irritated in this question. I'm like, are we satisfied yet? Are we ready to get out of here? So the 25th always picks up on these emotions that are underlying my questions. So I did want to ask this. Me. Yes, so we'll start from the end. The 12,000, again, there is satisfaction behind the scenes. This is a dream that Clea was having and we're referring to. Things are coming along. They're not satisfied as in we're done, because we said we do want to see the recall because that's going to be our signal, but we are satisfied with the work we've done so far. Yes, and we can see it's happening. What we stayed behind to experience, we're experiencing. We are acknowledging, we are realizing. So the 12,000, again, we know what Clea is trying to get to. Are the 12,000 satisfied? Therefore, can we move on? What we want to remind Clea of is that, yes, they are satisfied with how things are going, although we're not completely done yet with this project. But it doesn't mean we're not going to come up with something else or that we're not going to decide to stay longer. Now, that said, we've also said we don't really want to do all these things while there's nobody else here. And there's almost nobody else here. We are down to 10 to 15 million essences, human essences here at this time. People continue living and we feel it. Clea feels it. We know you feel it, Lorrayne. Many people feel it because now we are consciously aware of creating our reality. Guess what else we are becoming conscious of? as much as we didn't want to know before, is that there is nobody else around us. This is all fake. So now this is going to become even more and more emotional. We said the reason we keep the shell in place, we want the veil to remain in place, is because we don't want to know that we're here by ourselves. But guess what? The longer we stay here, the more obvious it's becoming that, man, we are by ourselves. Claire's feeling it now more and more. One thing in the beginning is she was saying it. One thing is now we're starting to feel it. We're all starting to feel it. And as much as we try to rationalize things and say, oh, this person is having a hard time or whatever it is, we know. Some people are not functioning well. The shell is not even in place properly like before. It's not even credible. So this is not a pleasant situation for us. We are not happy with being here by ourselves. And so we're not going to be here until there's only the 3.5 million of us going to New Earth, because what would be the point? At that point, whatever work we can do here, we might as well go do it on New Earth. We're not going to be running this planet on our own. And so again, right now we have a very specific purpose in mind. Once it's finished, we will see, but we are less and less here already. Lorrayne, thank you. Claire wants to know the percentages that are left. So percentage of light, dark, and in the middle, there are currently here out of that 10 to 15 million you just said. And just as a reference, I am recording this on February 13th. However, the session is from January 5th of this year, and therefore the percentages have already changed. I know I asked and they're confirming that's still about the case. I asked a few days ago and they said it was 7 million left of us, and now they're saying 5 to 6 million. So we are dwindling down. Our numbers are dwindling down. So it's tough. It's tough because many of us do realize that there's nothing left. There's nobody around here. I just had somebody in my personal circle leave, and there were only 11 people, 11 people with SSS left in St. Louis. And I had somebody leave recently, and it's tough because I knew it. I had dreams letting me know it was going to happen. And then it happened, and I felt the switch immediately, even though I was thinking of something else when I was told. So it's interesting. We know by the time, basically at this point, our veil, even our own personal veil, is almost non-existent. All right, so here's the answer from the 25th. Me. Yeah, so the majority is us, again, on the team of the light. There is only a handful of people, and we don't mean a handful as in 5 people, but there's only a few people left in the middle. They're still about 1%, a little bit less than 1% on the side of the dark. They're telling me, because before we had 4 million people, the last time when we talked, we said we had 1%. We said it was 3 to 4 million on the side of the dark, but there's only about 2 million people left on the side of the dark now. So a little bit less than 1%. And then again, a few in the middle. So most of the people left they're telling me we have 11 million people who are on the side of the light. So yeah, Lorrayne, well, those on the side of the dark are putting on a pretty good show, I have to say. And she was laughing. Me, we truly are, because the show we're putting up is we have changed everything. Everything has changed in the background. The things we have done, when you'll be able to see from New Earth what we have done here in the few short months, you will be breathless. You will not believe it. And this is one of the things we're going to have to deal with when we look and we say, we took an entire planet down. We called for a takedown. We kicked everybody out. Of course, they had to agree, but we stopped the game basically, which we have said many times, we do not want to stop games, because what we could have done in a few months, we could have done what we have done here. Again, we've gone from peaks of 70 to 80%, and we have rebalanced now. So this will be, once it becomes obvious to us, as in we truly see it and realize it, this will be a source of a whole lot more frustration for us. We are telling you right now, because it will be unbelievable. This is why, another reason why we don't want to see that now, because we wouldn't be able to handle it. We would be very disappointed. There would be a lot of resistance. Clay already feels like this, that we screwed up so badly. And then in a few months, without even worrying about it, while we're worrying about our cars and whatever, we have fixed the entire planet. There will be a lot that we have to integrate. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, I hope you enjoyed it, and take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.